Okay. I believe we are live streaming now. And I want to welcome everyone who is joining us on social media, on LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram. We are going to just take a little bit of time here at the beginning to give some time for everyone to join us. I know there's a bit of a delay. So let's see, Sarah, can I just ask you, are you able to see, are we live on?
It is coming through.
It is coming through?
So I think let's give it another minute.
Okay, great. So we're just taking our time. Let's see, it looks like the presentation isn't here, so I'm going to add that back. All right. And I do hear some clicking. I don't know if that's a guest. I think we are live. And Sarah, I know you're checking the different channels to see. This is new for us.
We're live on Facebook and we're working on LinkedIn still, just to give an update.
All right, great. If you see us on Facebook, hop into the chat and say hello. We would love to know where you are located. Okay, so I'm looking at the chat now and it says, phew, finally found you live on Facebook. Thanks for the feedback. I love this group of people who will help us just know if you're on LinkedIn, please let us know as soon as you're able to see us on LinkedIn. And this is really helpful. Hello from Chicago. Hello from the Philippines. Porto, Portugal. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Connecticut. Ocean Grove, New Jersey. It's a special person. Fort Worth, New Jersey, Arkansas, Virginia. Oh, I love this. This is really fun. New York, Athens, Greece. How amazing. Oh, this is exciting. Has anyone seen us yet on LinkedIn? We are waiting. Could not see on LinkedIn, but you have found us on Facebook. Good evening from Switzerland. Hello from Trenton. Hi, Trenton. Sacramento, California, Canada. I am just going to take a little bit more time before I introduce our presenters, Dr. Ryan Niemiec and Danielle Casioppo. Oh, from Brazil, Washington State. Oh, still no on LinkedIn. I wonder what's happening.
So everyone, just make sure you go to VIA's LinkedIn page.
Okay.
So that is where we're going to be streaming at. And I can see us. We have about 12 people, but a lot of people commenting. So I see you and hoping to get you guys over to our LinkedIn page.
Sarah, are you able to put that link right into the chat, the LinkedIn page link to help anyone? Yep. Texas, India, hi from Wales. This is good. We're just pausing a little bit here at the beginning. Ann Arbor, Michigan. I don't have any audio. Oops. Let's see. Hello from Denmark. I'm from Brazil, Manchester. Oh, how exciting. Raleigh, North Carolina. LinkedIn says it's waiting to go live. I wonder why.
It is on our VIA Institute on Character. So if you've messaged, I am working on messaging you back at this time.
And also, Sarah, yeah, if you can put it, I don't know, are you able to type a message into, I feel like I can, but I'm hesitant. Do you see a spot within Restream to put a message? Hi from the UK. Okay. Hello from Tel Aviv. Hello from Germany. Oh my gosh. Okay, one more minute. I do see that the stream is live on our page, to your point, Sarah. So you're right. It is there. And I'm just going to try to drop it in the direct link into the chat. It says click to join. But I think we just have to go to the VIA Institute on Character page in order to join the webinar. And that, So if you just go to the VIA Institute on Character LinkedIn page, you should see the webinar live. And with that, I think we'll go ahead and dive in. Oh, thank you, Holly. Holly says, yes, I was able to get in via the page. Hello from Idaho. Hello from Cincinnati. Okay, this is exciting. It's really fun to see all of this. Still some troubles finding the spot on LinkedIn. And once again, I'll just say, if you go to VIA Institute's page on LinkedIn, you should see the live feed there. I just looked at our page myself and I just saw it live. So Sarah, I know you'll continue to work at that. Okay, I'm hearing from some folks. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Sarah.
It looks like we're having a little bit of trouble with Instagram, so I just wanted to name that. I would recommend finding us on either Facebook or LinkedIn.
Okay, and with that, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our speakers today. We are really excited to have all of you here. We sent out, honestly, we sent out one invite for this webinar. We did it through email. And we said, you know, Dr. Ryan Niemiec created this mindfulness-based strengths practice program. Ryan, is it 10 years ago that you created this program?
Yeah, about 15 years ago. So around 2012, 2011, 12, yeah.
Well, what's interesting, and we sent out one email to invite folks to a free webinar to get a chance to dip a toe into this amazing experience you've created, that you've been led over 20 times for VIA in the past 10 years. And we had over 2,000 people respond. And that told us our Zoom account is not really going to be the right tool to host this webinar. So as more and more people continue to register, we moved it over to a live feed on social media. Bear with us. This is new to us. We haven't done a live stream through social media before. So we're all learning together, but we're glad you're here and we're glad that you get to benefit from this phenomenal program. So with that, I'm going to introduce our speakers. As I said, Dr. Ryan Niemiec is with us. Dr. Ryan Niemiec is Chief Science and Education Officer at VIA Institute on Character, which is also where I work. My name is Kelly Cummings, and I am the Vice President of Marketing at VIA Institute on Character. Ryan is also the author of 14 books and over 100 scientific articles. He is the founder, he is the creator of Mindfulness-Based Strengths Practice, and I'm so excited for him to get to tell you more about it today. He's offered over 1,000 presentations on positive psychology, mindfulness, strengths, well-being topics. He tries to take a very science practical approach, really trying to make his passions for well-being, stress, peace, nature connection, coaching physical health, spiritual meaning, all of that very accessible to people. And one thing you might not know about Ryan that I have really enjoyed to discover in working with him is that his curiosity never ends, and his quest for learning more about character strengths and continuing to research and bringing together other scientists to conduct studies or conduct additional analyses is ongoing, and it's a great passion, and it's a wonderful part of working with Ryan because things are always new and always different. I also want to introduce Danielle Casioppo, who is also one of the instructors of mindfulness-based strengths practice here at VIA. She is a national board certified health and wellness coach, a certified yoga teacher, a meditation instructor, and she's a proud member of the VIA Institute on Character faculty. She's also a charter member of the Certified Mindfulness-Based Strengths Practice instructors, and she brings over 10 years of experience creating and delivering transformational programs that enrich the well-being of participants. So during this presentation, you're going to hear from both Danielle and Ryan, and from time to time, you're going to also hear from Sarah Webb, who's here helping us manage everything from technical support to chat to just kind of reminding me to do simple things like advance to the next slide and little things like that. So she's here and she's trying to answer your questions as you struggle with some of the technical challenges. And with that, as we've introduced Ryan and Danielle, what we're going to do is we're going to take a minute and we're going to look at, Danielle, I wonder if you'd help us. We're going to take a look at the 24 character strengths. And with that, Danielle, I'd love it if you would invite, help us learn a little bit about VIA's 24 character strengths.
Sure. Thank you, Kelly. So what we're going to be doing right now is a little activity called strengths spotting. So however familiar you might be with the character strengths or not is okay. If you are able to see the different strengths on the slide, I don't know if everybody can read the words there. They're very tiny, and I cannot read them all, I'll be honest, with my glasses and everything. So I will do my best to remember all of them. Ryan, you might have to help me out if I miss some. But as you look at these, notice if any of the strengths listed here jump out at you. Whether or not you've done the VIA survey in the past doesn't matter. As you read through this list, are there any strengths that, as you read that word, that it really just resonates with you? It just jumps right out and you say to yourself, yes, that's me. Whether you see hope or gratitude or honesty or forgiveness or fairness or love of learning or hope. If you see spirituality, any of the strengths that just really resonate with you, just notice if you feel that. So what we're doing is strength spotting within ourselves. Yes, thank you so much, Edna, for the list in the chat. That is super, super helpful. Teamwork, zest, self-regulation, prudence, perspective, perseverance, and kindness, right? Judgment. And I think I got the other ones except for creativity and curiosity, right? Appreciation of beauty, right? So any of these strengths, what resonates with you? When you read that list, Edna was kind enough to put it in the chat, so you have it there in the chat. You can look at the list of the strengths. So I see people sharing in the chat some of the strengths that are really coming up for them. Zest, Catherine is sharing, thank you. Lynn is sharing gratitude. Maria is sharing appreciation of beauty, excellence. And gratitude and hope, right? So she's got 3 there. Yeah, so any others that people are noticing? Hope, gratitude from Carla and Jen. Mel is sharing love. Got someone's coming faster here. See, Sophie has curiosity, honesty. Deepakamar is sharing many strengths. I'll go with kindness and spirituality and gratitude. Nuno has honesty. Cherie has honesty. Great. So a lot of honesty, a lot of gratitude, a lot of love of learning. Sarah has bravery and curiosity. Duncan has spirituality and love, perspective. Pat has spirituality, love of learning. Awesome. So thank you for all of these and for sharing them. So as you have these strengths at top of mind, the reason that some of these strengths really perhaps popped out to you is because they're strengths that you find most easy to use. And a way that we can kind of think about this is by doing a little mental exercise, right? Imagine that you were not able to use whatever strength it was that you just identified, whether you put it in the chat or you just identified it to yourself mentally. Imagine that you weren't able to use that in your life anymore, right? That I was an evil wizard and I took away that strength from you. What would your life be like? Would you be that same person? Would you be able to do all of the things that you do? Live the way you live, be who you are? How would it feel to not be able to use that strength or 2 or 3 strengths that you just identified? If anybody wants to share that in the chat, go ahead. How would it feel to not be able to use these strengths that you've just identified that resonate with you? Autumn is saying, I would cry. Bernd is saying awful. Tina's saying empty and without meaning. Anna's saying lost. Karen is sharing, it would be awful. I wouldn't be who I am. Claudia is saying, I would be powerless. Wow, that's powerful, right? To feel powerless without your strengths. I would feel lost, Jen says. Hope says, I would feel unfulfilled, lonely. Jennifer says, dull and frankly joyless. Yeah, like a tree without leaves, says Miriam. Yeah, that's such a beautiful analogy. So yeah, thank you for everybody sharing this. That is, how powerful our strengths are. So I'm giving you back those strengths. I'm the wizard that has now waved my wand, and you have those strengths back to use. But that's one way that we can really tell what some of our top strengths are and how essential they are to us, because we can't even imagine ourselves living and being who we are without those strengths. It's not us. It's just not possible. And so the little activity that you've just done right now is called strength spotting. And it's strength spotting within yourself. And it's also recognizing the importance of those strengths through a little activity called mental subtraction. And this is just some of what we do in mindfulness-based strengths practice. But I don't want to give away too much. I'm going to pass it now back to Kelly, and I will talk with you more in a little while. Thank you, everybody, for doing that activity.
So thank you, Danielle. That was wonderful. So we've had a chance to think about character strengths for a minute. And when you think about mindfulness-based strengths practice, right? So knowing our strengths is a big part of mindfulness-based strengths practice. And mindfulness is a big part of mindfulness-based strengths practice. And with that, I'm going to invite Dr. Ryan Niemiec to talk to us about mindfulness. But first, we're going to start with a poll, and we're going to try to figure out what your misconceptions or your myths or things you might have heard about mindfulness that might or might not be true. So just grab your phone and use your QR code, your QR scanner, and go ahead and just scan this code, and it'll take you right to a poll. And when you get to that poll, you're going to have 5 choices to answer which one of these questions sounds true to you. So I'm just going to leave this slide up for one more minute before we actually start to look at the poll results. But go ahead and use this QR scanner. If for any reason you don't have a QR code scanner on your phone or with you, you can go to menti.com and you can use this code to access the to access the poll, and that's 6962-5741. I can see some results are coming in. And as I switch over, I'm going to switch over so we can all start to see the poll results. And as I switch over, I'm going to invite Ryan to take over, talking to us about mindfulness as we see some of the people's thoughts about what mindfulness is to them.
Excellent. Thank you, Kelly. It's just such a delight to see everybody here, to see people across all the continents, except for Antarctica, of course. We still haven't been good at marketing to Antarctica, but one of these days. And it's just great to see some old friends and previous students and so many new faces here too. It's what a delight. And as the polls continue to come in, I'm happy to share a little bit about mindfulness and a little bit on what it is and what it isn't. And one way to start is to actually think about the scientific definition of mindfulness. It's customary for people to attend workshops and seminars in meditation or mindfulness, and you'll hear from the instructor whatever their favorite definition is of mindfulness, whether it's from the Dalai Lama or Thich Nhat Hanh or from Jon Kabat-Zinn or Zindel Siegel or Tara Brach or Jack Kornfield. And all those are correct and right. But what's interesting is, for mindfulness-based strengths practice and this work with mindfulness is to examine the scientific definition because it's incredibly practical and it forms the foundation for this integration of these areas. So the scientific definition, as agreed upon by a collection of scientists about 20 years ago, they were trying to kind of put the research together and then the pop culture stuff on mindfulness together, the science together to come up with an operational definition that could be agreed upon so that researchers would know what it is they're actually studying when they say they're studying mindfulness. But also so that practitioners could have a beacon or a light for their direction with their practice of mindfulness or their application with clients. And so this scientific definition goes like this, that mindfulness is the self-regulation of our attention with an attitude of curiosity, openness, and acceptance. So let's unpack those two parts for a moment. So the self-regulation of your attention, that's the what of mindfulness, which means that we're using our character strength of self-regulation to take control of our attention, right? To play with our attention, to notice our attention, to work with our attention. Right? So we know where it's going. And then the second part of the definition is the how of mindfulness. So what do you do with your attention as you're taking control of it? Well, you take on an approach of curiosity, of openness, and acceptance. So right now you can notice your attention. Are you putting your focus on me on the screen? Are you putting your attention on the chat stream coming in? Are you looking at something beyond your screen, maybe outside your window? Are you bringing your attention to your breathing? We can bring our attention to anything, right? So that's the what, and we're taking control of that. And the more that we practice taking control of our attention and working with it, the stronger our self-regulation becomes, the stronger our mindfulness becomes. But then we bring in that attitude as well, that attitude of openness and being interested and curious about whatever's there in the present moment. It could be something stunning and beautiful. It could be something that's difficult and painful. It could be sadness. It could be disappointment. But we're bringing that openness, that curiosity, and that acceptance to accept the present moment as it is right now. Not to permanently stay there, not that we want it there, but to notice and to accept that that's just the way things are in this moment. Because we know that everything always changes. So mindfulness embraces that idea. So that two-part definition applies beautifully to anything in life. So is mindfulness part of a religion? Yes, it's part of all the world religions. Is it much more than that? Yes, definitely. Does it have to be religious? Absolutely not. Does mindfulness have to do with meditation? Sure, yes, that is part of it. Must it include meditation? No, it certainly doesn't. So we think of mindfulness as being able to be applied to absolutely anything in our life, because it's how we attend to life. It's how we show up in life. That's how we approach mindfulness in this program. So clearly, our character strengths are pivotal to all of that. What could be more important? Not many things more important than bringing attention to your best qualities of personality. So to bring greater attention to your love, to your social intelligence, to your gratitude, to the bravery that you want to elevate more, to your gratitude that you are starting to embrace that you have as a quality, to bring more attention to all of those different nuances of how strengths play out. So that's how we approach mindfulness. A final thing I could say about this, kind of as an initial sharing, is I love the idea of bigness. How big is your mindfulness? That could be a question you could ask yourself. You can do the same thing with character strengths, by the way. So how big is your mindfulness? And so if you think that and you approach mindfulness as just about sitting and following your breathing, that's fine and true, but that's a very small way to look at mindfulness. If you think that it's just part of Buddhism or just part of Christian mysticism or Sufism or this belief system or that's fine. It is, but that's a very small way to look at mindfulness. That mindfulness, we can challenge ourselves. It's much, much bigger. It's to how we eat. It's to how we drink. It's to how we make our choices of food and drink. It's to how we show up in relationships. It's how we respond to people that are angry with us. It's how we respond to our own sadness. It's how we show up with our character strengths. And so it gets bigger and bigger. And that's what mindfulness-based strengths practice is about embracing the bigness and the potential of our mindfulness and our character strengths. So maybe I'll pause there, Kelly, and turn it back to you.
Hi, Ryan. I thought that was wonderful. And I know that our audience really enjoyed when you provided the definition, and they were asking for us to put that definition into the chat. And I didn't have it offhand. There's just a few screens too many open for me right now. And fortunately for us, Nunu Gomez provided the link and the quote to where that is online.
Yeah, and if people are curious about the science, the researcher, the lead researcher is Scott Bishop. It was published in Clinical Psychology, Science and Practice. That's the name of the journal in 2002 or 2004. So it's quite old, but when I'll jump in with an audience of, say, 100 people that I'm sharing about mindfulness to, and I'll say, how many of you know the scientific definition of mindfulness? And maybe one or two people will raise their hand. So it's an important base, and it's an important thing for everybody to be on the same page if we're going to continue to advance the science and the practice of this work.
And Ryan, if you don't mind, I'm going to ask you to continue because we're a little bit further along in time. We just had some technical kinks as we were getting started today, and it's already 12:31. I was wondering if you would mind to go ahead and start talking to us about this relationship between mindfulness and character strengths and what it means to you. Because it's even with the time that I've worked with you, I continue to find it really interesting how you put these two together, what connecting them really meant to you, and what you hope people experience from that. Maybe that's a nice doorway for all of us to start to understand this unique nexus of character strengths and mindfulness, if you don't mind.
Sure. Well, I mean, back in sort of when I joined VIA and was studying character strengths, it's still fairly early on in positive psychology. This was around 2009. And I noticed that people were very interested in mindfulness and they were very interested in character strengths, but as siloed topics and not bringing the two together in any kind of way. So I began, since they were my two highest passion areas, I began to play around with the integration of them. And in 2009 and 2010, we were doing a VIA world tour where we went to various countries across, I think, four continents. We would do these 2-day workshops. in the different countries on character strengths. And then I said, well, I'm going to offer an optional 2-hour event after the 2 days on mindfulness and character strengths together. And I didn't think anybody would show up. They'd be exhausted from the 2 days of studying character strengths. And remarkably, 95% of people would show up for the optional session. They wanted to learn more. And that was telling us something. Wow, we're getting into something here. And we would be getting into these great discussions with people across cultures and how these areas connect. So that then started to form the basis of looking at how mindfulness improves our character strengths. And there's a whole litany of ways that happens that we go through in the sessions with MBSP, but then also how character strengths help to inform our mindfulness and make our mindfulness much deeper. And what people begin to realize when they begin to do these practices and begin bringing them together is that with one of them alone, it's fairly hollow. Like if you just are using character strength without mindfulness, you're mindlessly saying, yeah, thanks a lot. So you're using your gratitude, thank you, but not much mindfulness, not much substance behind it. Or we say our passing, okay, see you later, love you. So we're using our love, but using it kind of mindlessly. But when we bring mindful attention to it, it begins to change everything. And when we bring character strengths to our mindfulness, to our meditation practice, our eating practice, our mindful walking practice, our listening practice, suddenly things become much, much deeper. So that's what we do, is we work at the integration at both of those levels. And I would say for me personally, when I'm feeling overwhelmed and when I'm feeling stressed and challenged, what I really love to do is one of the practices in MBSP, which is a mindful pause, which is a 10 to 15 second practice. We like having a lot of short practices, not just these kind of long 10-minute meditations to practice and cultivate mindfulness and strengths, but 10-second practices, 15-second practices as well, 1-minute practices. And so I do this 10-second practice where I first pause and I take 3 slow breaths. I could be doing this in the restroom after a difficult meeting, and I excuse myself from the meeting. I go in the restroom, I take 3 slow breaths, and then I ask myself, which of my character strengths might I bring forth right now? So mindfulness sort of clears the space, and then it opens up the possibility of hey, what could come up? And by me asking myself the question, that changes everything. Rather than I'm journaling about something or I'm in a discussion with something, but instead just the act of posing that question, research shows that actually brings up different kinds of answers. So then I'm open to what strength is going to come up for me. And for some reason, teamwork pops up or curiosity pops up. And then that could be a starting point for what I might bring forth in a little bit more of a refreshed way when I go back to that meeting. So I use that all the time when I'm feeling stressed or feeling challenged. These are the kinds of things that we try to do to make this work very practical. Because ultimately, this is maybe the final thing I'll say at this point, is that this MBSP work is all about cultivating your own toolbox. That metaphor came from some practitioners in the United Kingdom that use MBSP quite extensively with adolescents and with young university students. And that's the way that they frame MBSP to those populations is that, hey, this is a toolbox of resources, like 30 resources relating to mindfulness and character strengths and how they come together that you can bring for the rest of your life. And I really like that metaphor. So I share it with all of you now to use it as you like.
Ryan, that was excellent. Thank you. And I think it's probably helpful for our audience if I just tell everyone I'm struggling with a little cold. And I think the irony of timing is I'm suddenly having some coughing, which didn't happen before the webinar started and probably won't happen after the webinar's over, but seems to happen right now during the webinar. So I thought I would just let everyone know. That's why I kind of have been stepping away from the camera. Ryan, I love that description. I do love the mindful pause, the whole experience of it, that shift when you bring in the character strength that you want to lean into, that whole feeling, and to kind of pull forward some of this experience from a mindfulness-based strengths course. I want to ask Danielle, who also is one of our MBSP instructors at VIA. Danielle, I would love to hear from you what you notice that resonates most strongly with people when you are leading an MBSP course? Can you just give us an example or something that can give us all a little bit of a taste of what it's like to be in an MBSP course?
Sure, Kelly, thanks. So one of the practices that I notice most kind of hits people very profoundly is the realization when we start to talk about overuse and underuse of character strengths, that we all as human beings have this ability to be imperfect in our deployment of our strengths. And sometimes we might not bring enough of a strength to a certain situation. And other times we might bring too much of a strength to a certain situation. And thus, we can overuse or underuse our strengths at any time. And that this is something that all of us have the capacity to do. And that is why the mindfulness piece is so incredibly important, because mindfulness really helps us to utilize and understand our strengths and deploy them in the most optimal way. It also helps us with tempering our response to when we might overuse or underuse a strength, so that we're not beating ourselves up, that we're not harshly judging ourselves and criticizing ourselves, which for many of us, we already do that very well. And so mindfulness really helps us to have that attitude of openness and acceptance. And then when we apply it to learning how to use our strengths in the best way possible, it helps us to navigate that overuse and underuse that does naturally happen. This is also a very profound concept that people learn when they go through MBSP, and I think it's probably one of the most impactful, aside from learning about mindfulness in general and their strengths in general. Really understanding this notion of overuse and underuse helps them to transform how they see and relate to other people in their life. So not only does it help them to understand themselves better and why they might do certain things or not do certain things because of an overuse or underuse happening, but it also helps them to really relate to other people in a much more compassionate way. Because now we have this understanding that just like I could very easily overuse or underuse a strength, so could you. And then we can see each other more clearly through the lens of strengths with so much more empathy and understanding. And this really is pivotal for people to really kind of see this and understand that there is an optimal zone of strengths use, which is what our mindfulness really helps us to achieve and to find that balance, but that also bringing this understanding to the times when we overuse or underuse, and then extending it to other people as well, is really life-changing, I would say, and has profound impact on how people see themselves and relate to other people in all arenas of their life, whether it's at work, at home, with family, with friends, with their spouse or significant other or partner. It's really a very powerful concept.
And do you find when you're leading a mindfulness-based strengths practice session, do you find that after you've done an exercise like this, do you find that people come back and they share stories of how the exercise strengthened a specific relationship in their life?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for asking that, Kelly. They do. I have many anecdotal reports from MBSP participants who have, once we've gone through the segment on overuse and underuse, and they understand that, which isn't until week 6, it's later into the program. And that's because we want to make sure that everybody has the foundational understanding first. And once they do get this information, though, often they will share that it's almost like an epiphany, that they see themselves in a different light, and they really start to get a more keen awareness of what makes them tick and why they do certain things or not. And also other people that, I've had reports of people sharing that, after kind of getting this concept down, that it helped them to adjust and really modify their relationship with a person who perhaps maybe they had some difficulty or weren't really seeing eye to eye with, that now they actually, oh, that's why that person does that or acts that way or says that. And we're not diagnosing people or anything, but it does help to give us a window of insight into some of their personality and just seeing them through that lens of strengths. It's so much less judgmental and harsh and critical. And it really opens up this way to even have a conversation and talk about that particular strength that maybe we feel like, oh, this person might be underusing it or overusing it. Maybe I can talk to them about it and see how they feel about that strength and maybe what's going on with them. And it just opens up this whole avenue for understanding and compassion and empathy.
That sounds beautiful. And as you talk about it, I can't help but kind of think about my own relationships and the ones that I would like to strengthen or the ones that I can acknowledge there's a little bit of friction or challenge. And I can see how a tool like this could invite and welcome more trust and more intimacy into the relationship. I love how you're explaining it. Just to let everyone who's with us know, we have about 15 minutes left. We're going to explore the program a tiny bit more. I've got another question for Ryan. And then what we're going to do is we're going to share with you a couple of things about what all the different ways that you could experience mindfulness-based strengths practice at VIA, everything that we've already sort of planned for 2024. We also have a special discount for all of you that we're going to offer at the end. And then we have another poll question that we'd love to capture. And finally, we do have a way that you can make sure you join our mailing list and stay up to date with everything. But before we kind of move into some of that practical, I wanted to ask Ryan, if you don't mind. Ryan, I'd love to just get, as we've kind of unpacked mindfulness-based strengths practice a little bit, and I'm curious to hear more about what really energizes you about spreading this work. This is something that you developed quite some time ago, and you continue to bring it out to the world. And I know that there's been some research on the effectiveness of MBSP in really helping people. And I'd love for you to share some of the science behind that as well.
Yeah, thanks, Kelly. Yeah, I really enjoy following my passions, just as many of you kind of give advice to your clients, maybe your children, to kind of follow your purpose, follow your meaning, and just kind of following these areas of mindfulness and character strengths and the kind of never-ending elements of exploration with them. I mean, again, since they apply to everything in life and all that's possible, it's ongoing work forever. And just the topics continue, bringing it to caring for the planet, bringing it to the complexities of our relationship, bringing it to problems and psychopathology, bringing it to medical concerns. I mean, there's just, and on the list goes. So that's my passion, is just continuing to follow the connection of these areas. And it's been fascinating to see so much of the research come in on MBSP in the last 10 years. For example, it's been now the MBSP program's been compared with the most popular mindfulness program in the world in 4 studies, 3 of them already published. So the most popular program in the world is Kabat-Zinn's Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction. So researchers, independent of me and independent of the VIA Institute, led these 2 programs and compared them in good quality studies. And MBSP surpassed MBSR in every one of them, which is just fascinating and very exciting for us to see that. So by surpass, I mean in looking at different various well-being variables, purpose in life and meaning and other well-being variables, looking at hedonia, which is finding pleasure in life, and eudaimonia, which is finding more engagement and meaning in life. There was one of the studies looked at workplace performance and found that MBSP led to greater task performance, people being more productive at work than MBSR. And also MBSP boosts the 24 character strengths, which is also fascinating because it's not like an MBSP in this 8-week program. It's not like we go through each one by one and say, here's how you apply mindfulness to creativity. Here's how you apply it to critical thinking. Here's how you apply it to love of learning. But organically, through the process of MBSP, it boosts the 24 character strengths. And I think MBSR maybe boosted, 4 or 5 of them. I'd have to go back and look. So that's it's fascinating for me to just kind of follow these things that are emerging. The other thing that enlivens me is really seeing the benefit, as kind of to build off what Danielle was saying, the research finding that MBSP boosts relationships. It boosts our positive relationships. It helps people that have been disconnected to find a new spark, to find a new connection. It spurs people to take action to rebuild a relationship or to improve one, to just be more open to different kinds of relationships with different people, with different views in life. So that's very enlivening. And we see that happen right in the MBSP program. Like in each session, there's breakout groups where people get in small groups and discuss. So that's always enlivening for me to be a fly in the wall and watching people discuss how they're applying it in life. And then on a more extreme perspective, and it's fascinating that just life is happening, right? Life is happening throughout the 8 weeks of MBSP, and people feel comfortable sharing very big things, big changes that happen in their life, and very traumatic things that happen in their life. So it's not uncommon for about one person in each MBSP group to undergo some kind of medical problem, or their spouse is struggling with cancer. Someone else's spouse had a heart attack. And what they then disclose, at week 4, week 5, sometime during the program, they disclose, my gosh, the mindfulness really was my safety net. The character strengths were really my approach to getting through that difficult situation. Now I'm sitting in the hospital room with a lot more presence to my significant other. Now I'm a lot more attentive to my child who I've always seen as just this disruptive mess. And now I'm more connected to them. Now, in one example, a woman that was riding in the emergency vehicle with her husband who was having a heart attack and being rushed at 80 miles an hour to the hospital. And she's sitting there using her mindfulness, using the mindful pause, turning what character strengths can I do to stay engaged and to just be helpful. So it's amazing to see those dramatic applications, but also the very simple everyday life, which are still very important applications of how the person coffee and how the person goes for a walk in the woods and how the person greets their significant others. So that's what enlivens me. And not just for watching it happen in others, but applying it to myself, because we teach often what we most need to learn. And I've been teaching this stuff since the late 1990s, but I still need to learn it over and over and over again. And so I get to benefit while I hopefully help other people as well. So that's where the enlivening comes. Thanks, Kelly.
Thank you so much. It's just a great answer, and it's wonderful to learn about. I think in the interest of time, I'm going to take a minute and I'm going to share the courses and offerings that we have set up, as well as our discount code, because there are some people who are interested in taking an MBSP course. And then I'd like to create just some room before we wrap up to answer some of the wonderful questions that have come through in the chat. So first, I'll just go ahead and share the courses that we have set up for this coming year. Ryan, I'm going to start, and then I'll invite you to chime in, because you really helped create, you made this happen for us. We have noticed the expanding interest in this course and over the years, and we knew in 2024 we had to expand both the number of offerings as well as the dates and times that we're offering the course. So I just want everyone to know, when you see this list of courses, this is all available on our website. If you go to beacharacter.org, you'll find under our mindfulness-based strengths practice, you'll see these all listed there. But let me just call your attention both to the fact that we have courses available in February, March, April, June, September, November, and July and August. Sorry. And I also want to call out your attention to the fact that these are available at really different dates and times. So you can notice that the April and June course led by Danielle is going to be on Saturday mornings. This is Eastern Time, US. And that the retreat, which is a separate offering, and you are able to join just the retreat, is also going to be on a Saturday morning. And then Danielle's course in July and August is offered Eastern Time US in the evenings. So this is this is for us really expanding an offering that hasn't been previously available at this time. The retreat again occurs on a Saturday, but this time in the afternoon Eastern Time. And then Ryan is offering 2 mindfulness-based. We have 2 courses that you can sign up, and the signups are all available except the retreats. We haven't made the links yet for the retreats, and those are, if you're in the course, you're automatically included in the retreat. But if you want to come just to a retreat, we make that possible too. And we just haven't added those buttons, those sign up buttons to our website yet. But let me just tell you that in February and March, Ryan is offering this course at 10 a.m. Eastern Time on Tuesdays, 10 to 12. And then the retreat would be on a Friday. And then in September, the course is on Mondays at lunchtime Eastern Time US. And the retreat for that one just hasn't been set up just yet. So again, all of this is available on our website. And before we log off, I'm going to give you a QR code so that you can have access to our email list. And you can add your email and make sure that you'll get all of our information as we share it throughout the year and never be kind of disconnected from VIA. With that, Ryan, I just want to pause. Is there anything else you'd like to say about the course offering for the coming year?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Kelly. And just to answer Lisa's questions in the chat, everything is entirely online, the retreat and the course. And it's amazing what can happen online, because a lot of people have a preconception that retreats must be at a beautiful location, must be at the beach, it must be in a forest, and I'm going to be gone for a week and all this. And yes, that's wonderful about retreats. But we also know that it's really important to be able to have a retreat right where you work, and right in your home for the cases for some people. That way you're really bringing this work right into your daily life, rather than having the experience where you go off to a beautiful place and then you have the challenge of coming back, trying to bring that wisdom back. And we're so excited. We've never offered, there's so many new things with this year. We've never offered more than 2 MBSP courses in a year. We've never had a non-Ryan person instruct MBSP, and we couldn't have had a better selection, as everybody has clearly seen. Danielle is enormously wise and compassionate, and I'm just so excited that she agreed. When I begged her, when I asked her if she would do this, it's going to be amazing. We've never done a course on a Saturday, and we would get requests especially from Australia, New Zealand, various countries in Asia, that would say, hey, you got to help our time zone a little bit better. But people would still come in the middle of the night. We would usually have one Aussie come in at 3 or 4 in the morning that takes our courses. At least 1 or 2 people each year do that, or each course do that. But now we can be more friendly with the evening courses that are friendly to a lot of other time zones. So hopefully we've accomplished what we wanted to do, which was to have something for everybody. And just to clarify something that Kelly said, the retreat is part of the course. So you get the 8 sessions and the retreat, the retreat happens at week 6, or week 5 or week 6. But you can purchase the retreat a la carte. If you don't want to make the commitment of the full course, you could just go to that half-day retreat. That's always an option too. So very exciting.
Okay, Ryan.
We hope to see so many of you this year in these courses. And
I just want to go ahead, because I know some folks, this might be their lunch hour, or they might have to log off soon. We will cover the Q&A. I know we'll stay on if we can just another minute longer. There's a few questions that I captured earlier in the chat, but for everyone who's on right now, this code Mindful20 will offer you 20% off of all of our mindfulness-based strengths practice offerings. So we have the first visual you see here, the mindfulness and strengths in daily life. You'll find that on our website. And that is a on-demand course. So you can actually do MBSP on your own. And it is something that Ryan recorded. So you'll actually be learning MBSP with Ryan, but you get to do it at your own date, at your own pace. And then we have a variety of courses that we've been talking about for mindfulness-based strengths practice. And I did put the link to that directly into the chat. And then other people have asked questions about how do I teach MBSP? And in order to teach MBSP, we recommend that you become certified. Ryan, is there anything you'd like to just say quickly about our certification process?
Sure. I mean, of course, real quickly, there isn't any, we don't block anybody from leading MBSP. So all you have to do is get the book and lead it. I mean, that's just that's just the truth, is that you can, but we encourage people to, deepen their application and work by taking the course and then going even further to get certified. And that helps people to feel more competent, comfortable, and confident with the material. And in the certification, you meet one-on-one with a master trainer of MBSP, which could be me, it could be somebody else. You take additional courses around community engagement with MBSP. And an advanced practice course, you do an MBSP project. So there's a lot of elements to becoming certified. And that would be the highest level in terms of MBSP work. And we're starting to bring this to other countries and other languages now too. So some of you might speak another language. And if you kind of get to the highest level of MBSP, maybe there's some kind of collaboration along those lines. But yeah, there's something for everybody in terms of cost and in terms of application with this work. We want to reach everybody.
So in addition to the Mindful 20, let's put this slide up quickly. If you would like to make sure you stay connected to us throughout 2024, this is a code you can scan, and all you have to do is put in your name and your email address, and we will add you to our email list. The website address, sure, we can put that in again. It's viacharacter.org. And on there, if you see the drop-down menu for our courses, Lisa, let's see. Lisa's had a few questions, and Lisa, I've actually saved your questions. So let's go ahead and give you a chance to get your questions answered. We'll do the first one that you have put right here. Lisa's asking, if I've already taken an MBS course, what do I need to do for certification? Ryan, do you mind to take that?
Yeah, so if you've taken the MBSP course on the VIA site with me at this case, but soon it can also be Danielle, or if you took MBSP by a certified person in whatever country the MBSP certified person is from, then that means you would get $500. You wouldn't have to pay that $500, because that's how much the course costs, off the certification. So you would just enroll in the certification and you would pay $500 less, and then you would just move forward. And our next phase for the certification itself starts in April, and we could give you the exact dates, but for those that have already taken MBSP. For those that want to jump right into MBSP and then certification courses right after that, you would just take the February course of MBSP, and that'll go in February and March, and then you'll just slide right into the certification courses in April. But if there's no rush, so you could of course take MBSP later in the year with Danielle, with me, and then jump into certification courses in 2025. At this point, we just offer the certification courses once a year, and those are live starting in April.
Okay, and then I think I have, I want to get to Lisa's other question. I know we're over time, but she did have twice, Lisa asked about the, here, I'll just read what she said. I'd love an update about mindfulness as applied to peace. You've done some research on that, so Lisa knows what she's talking about, and it's sorely needed now. Oh, Lisa, I couldn't agree more. How can each of us apply this more today? Do you want to just share a little bit about
Yeah, well, let me take a couple hours and let's start it right now. So, I mean, and Lisa, yeah, wonderful to see you, Lisa. Lisa was actually one of maybe 50 people that was part of a a pilot group that we did to just explore the connection between peace and character strengths. This was a couple years ago. And since then, Lisa's right, we've been conducting research with different research groups around the world. And the way that we think about it, to try to just kind of simplify it, is we think about it as different levels of peace. So when people think the word peace, they think of like international peace, let's stop the war in Ukraine and what's going on in various other countries around the world. But actually, we start with what we have most control over, which is ourself. And that peace must start within. If you turn to any of the peace gurus, that's usually the core message. So there's the level of inner peace, and there's studies on character strengths to facilitate inner peace. Like using the character strength of gratitude. Hope is actually the #1 strength to use for inner peace, or at least the most connected as far as we could see. Zest, gratitude, spirituality are also really important. And then we can bring it to the level of relationship peace, one-on-one relationships and close relationships. And we're also doing studies on that and creating a relationship peace scale that we've moved forward on. And then we can bring it to the level of group peace and then further. So it starts with the parts we have most control over, and then moving over to further and further out to areas where we can have some influence. And we believe that character strengths are crucial to all those levels. And it's a very, very untouched area in the deep science of peace psychology, which has thousands of studies, and then the character strengths research, which has about 1,000 studies. And so there hasn't been the integration at all. Just like when I was mentioning 15 years ago, there wasn't the integration of mindfulness and character strengths. So we're doing that with peace psychology now. And I have a book. It's more of a scholarly book that we're doing that really gets at all of those levels of peace. And I'm working with 14 or so research groups studying this, and that book should be out by the end of this year. So that'll be exploring this even further. But we have a number of other studies we're doing. So lots more to say on that. And I imagine, I don't know if it'll be later this year or not, we'll be doing some kind of MBSP for peace program at some point. But that's maybe a little bit further off, might not be this year. And I know Lisa's also interested, as many of you are, in the connection of mindfulness and character strengths with nature and with caring for the planet. And that's an area we're actually further along with in terms of bringing MBSP to and conducting a lot of that research as well. So that's another area that, yes, there's lots of studies we can point to. And then we hopefully, again, maybe this will be more like a next year type of thing where we have an MBSP Earth program that people could take. So maybe people take MBSP, they learn about the integration, and then they say, oh, now I'd like to take a follow-up program, MBSP Earth or MBSP Peace, or a couple of the other ones, MBSP Work or MBSP Access, for which it helps people with disabilities, and on the adaptations go. So I'll stop there because as you can see, I'll just want to keep going on these topics. So I gotta stop.
Well, we're quite a bit over time, and I know everyone has busy schedules. So Brian, this was wonderful. Danielle, I just want to give you, we haven't had a chance for you to chime in here at the end. If you just have any parting thoughts or little wisdom nuggets you want the audience to take with them as they go, I just want to give you a moment to share.
Oh, thank you, Kelly. I will just share my extreme gratitude to Ryan and to you and to Sarah and to everybody that's here for taking time out of their day, for you all for putting this together, and really, truly to you, Ryan, for changing my life. Back in 2017, when I first met you and was introduced to MBSP, I had already been practicing mindfulness for quite some time and meditating, but did not know about character strengths. And when I learned about that, it really was life-changing. And then putting those two things together was just, it just changed the way I saw people, the way I saw myself, and was really, I think, the most empowering practice that I've ever encountered. And I do a lot of different practices between, yoga and meditation, which are amazing and wonderful. But this practice in particular is so applicable to every area of life that I just really want to extend my profound and deep gratitude to you and to everybody that's here. And thank you again for inviting me to be a part of this community.
And Ryan, we would just love to give you the final word as we wrap up today.
Well, really, it's, I mean, Danielle said it, it's gratitude. And so thank you for your kind words, Danielle. It's very meaningful and it touches me. deeply, and it's a great honor to be able to do this with you. This is amazing. And thanks to you, Kelly, for the great work that you've done with this webinar. I mean, I think we're getting lots of wonderful comments about how incredible you hosted this and got through the technology issues. And Sarah, I know everyone hasn't seen Sarah, but she's been brilliant behind the scenes with the setup of all this and everything. So, and then finally, yes, thanks to all of you. However we'll see each other, if it's an MBSP or if it's at a conference or maybe it's by email or maybe a meeting or something. Yeah, we hope that this is really just the beginning of a great collaboration and connection with each of you and the VIA Institute on Character. So thank you for being here and giving your time.
Okay, and with that, we're going to end our streaming now, but don't forget to reach out to VIA. We're here. We want to be connected to you. And I guess I'll say one last thing, which is we do have an active Facebook group that you're welcome to join. If you go into Facebook and you look for United in Strengths, I'll just put that right here. If you look for that Facebook group, we would love to have you join us, and that's a great place where you can connect with all of the amazing people who attended here today, as well as make sure that you're hearing from us throughout the year. And with all of that, I just want to give a high five to Sarah Webb for making all this happen from behind the scenes. High five, Sarah. Thank you all. Take care. Thanks for joining us. Bye. Bye.